fantastic. And we're so excited to have you. And just quick intro for Stephanie here, my sidekick. She's actually is our co-host today, also a good friend of mine and our beautiful brand ambassador for Fit to Profit. So she gets to join us today too, Olivia.
Awesome. Hi.
That was so nice. Thank you.
Yes. So as Olivia has been with us a couple of times now, so she knows how this goes. So Olivia, we're just gonna do a formal introduction of you, and then we're just gonna dive right into our conversation about how we're rocking it all, like how we're doing it all together. Yeah.
Totally.
Awesome. Okay, audience, thank you so much for tuning in and being here with all of us and our special guest. Olivia Chapman is the co-founder and COO of Inner Glow Circle, a company that helps women who want to work for themselves, not by themselves as entrepreneur. Inner Glow Circle trains clients to become an accredited life coach and helps them create sustainable business they love through a group training programs and masterminds. And Olivia, in her spare time, loves spending time with her two sons, writing, catching up on latest episodes of Real Housewives. And she and I share a really common passion of red wine. And so help me welcome the amazing mom and entrepreneur, Olivia Chapman. Welcome, Olivia.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I haven't heard that bio read aloud in a while, and I was like, I can't remember what comes next, but all still fitting. Yeah, it's good.
Yes, Olivia. I first of all, thank you so much for making time. Again, I fell in love with you the first time we met. Of course, with Katie, which is your business partner. You guys will probably get to hear more about Katie later. But I just love what you shared with me at the end of that conversation about, because I'm a mom, and what got me really thinking and it's really inspired me about this show, or to put on this show, is you said, because I asked the question, general question of like, how do we manage it all? And you said, you just have to make sure you take care of yourself. And, it's so much out there that we have to do X, Y, and Z and things like that. But the real question here is, yes, how do we take care of ourselves, but in the midst of all of it, right? Like we have a business to run, we have children to care for. So let's start there, right? Like, what is I know your day-to-day, and I can only imagine, but how do you integrate, right, like your business with your life, and how do you still stay like passionate, motivated, and driven without feeling like you want to throw in the towel or pull your hair out?
Okay. So first, like sometimes I do want to pull my hair out. Not that often, but sometimes, right? I think if we're having the human experience, which we all are, and like motherhood is the ultimate human experience, you're still going to get frustrated, right? But I think those are your cues that it's time to go back and take care of yourself, right? It's time to, get out of work a little bit early, or get a babysitter for an hour or two and actually take care of yourself. And I think something that we do as moms is we just keep going, right? We just keep going. And that just never worked for me. Like I wouldn't see the results I wanted with my kids, meaning like good behavior and acting nice and kind and loving. And I definitely wouldn't see the results I wanted in business, right? Like I would be overwhelmed, and you just can't, create from that place, in my opinion. And so I think when you start getting to that point of like, pull your hair out, for lack of a better word, that's your cue. That's your cue to take a time out. And I think the more that we honor that and practice that and not feel guilty about it, the easier life becomes.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Zoe and I were talking, the speaker right before you, and she has 7 children.
Wow.
Yes. And I know you have 2 and I have 2. So imagine that. And it's not so much of what it is that we need to do, but like you said, being able to be aware of when is that tipping point, right? Like when is it that we're about to lose it? And that usually is something I know for working moms, or especially high achievers like ourselves, like to push, right? Like I always feel like I can willpower through, maybe perhaps like working on 4 hours of sleep, or you know what I mean, doing long hours of work and such. But at the end of the day, I'm with you on that. That's why what you said initially resonated with me, is that you have to take out time for yourself, no matter what, every single day, whether it's like 5-10 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever it is, that needs to happen, because then you can get to show up in your space as a, you know, COO or business owner, and present for your life and your business.
Totally. And I think that one misconception around like the whole self-care piece is like, self-care, I think, is like glorified in the media as like, I'm on a beach, or I'm at the spa, or I'm like getting a massage, but sometimes for me, self-care is just like locking my bedroom door and like watching TV for 20 minutes, or like laying there in silence. Like, I think that just, it doesn't have to be so like set up. It just has to be like something that actually allows you to rest and relax and reconnect to yourself, which can be a walk, or, you know, a bath, but it doesn't always have to be something fancy.
100%.
Usually not for me.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not for me too. And that's why I love this part of the conversation, because we're really keeping it real for working moms, right? And mompreneurs. And just like me the other day too, I have a habit of getting up at 5. And honestly, my son, the past couple of nights, haven't been really sleeping. So when my alarm went off at 5 the other day, and I said, do I really want to get up and be a cranky mom for the rest of the day, just so I can get a batch saying that, yeah, you did get up at 5? Or do you sleep in, so that way you can nurture yourself, self-care, and ensure that you're going to show up loving and joyful versus being cranky for the rest of the day? And I said, yeah, no, today that batch of 5 a.m. wake up does not need to happen. Today, mom gets to sleep in.
Yeah, I mean, good for you for waking up at 5 ever.
but like I said, you know, like it's like I way back when I was so attached to that and accomplishing that. But to be honest, the intention was that so I can do what I need to do for myself, and for myself that day was sleeping in. And honestly, it took me like a long time to really be able to really empower myself to be okay with that, because the usual thing would be me beating up me like, no, you can still get up at 5. You can still be present. You can still be loving. Well, meanwhile, that's how I would be talking to people. And that's not me being who I want to be. And so, yes, for all the moms that's listening, and I know, Olivia, we can talk about In a Glow Circle, because it's a big business that you're running with your partner. And, you know, you get to do that, but you also get to really enjoy the really simple things, so you can make sure you nourish yourself and keep your cup full, so that way you can continue to serve. So thank you. I really appreciate that. And for all the moms listening, yes, it doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to go to the spa. You don't have to do all the things that the media tells you. It's not. You have to really just to get to know yourself, right, Olivia, like what you need, and just ask for it.
Yeah. And I think like what you were just saying, like about waking up at 5 and stuff, like you may have standards that you set for yourself or rules that you have in place, but you also get to change those rules, right? You get to change as your family changes, or as more kids come into the picture or whatever. Like, you're allowed to change those standards that you set for yourself over and over and over again when they're not working. And you know they're not working when you start to have a bad response to them, right? So
yes, exactly. Awesome. Well, in connection then to, of course, you are like the mom and now the COO of In a Glow Circle. Let's talk about, shift gears a little bit. Where's Olivia before, you know, of course, you're a mom, but like what is your story? How did you get inspired to do what you do now? And what is In a Glow Circle?
Sure. So Inner Glow Circle actually started before I became a mom. So not much before though.
That's like your first baby.
I only had that one for a few months though before the other one was on its way. So I was like, oh shoot. But I was a public school teacher in DC public schools for 6 years, and then I met Katie, my partner in Inner Glow Circle, and I had all of these ideas for businesses at the time, and I had kind of hired her to help me figure out what to do with those ideas. So I was like running these workshops for teen girls in the district and, trying to figure out how to teach, but in a different way. And so I hired Katie as my like business coach at the time. I ended up going through my own coach training program, and really decided to work with teen girls and also start working in like the realm of career coaching. It was just super popular in DC at the time. Nobody liked their job. Everybody was looking to do something else. So
Mhm.
it was easy and fun. And that's kind of where I learned like, oh my gosh, I can have way more freedom and time and make more money outside of, what I had known as to be normal, right? Like being a teacher was so normal, it was expected. It was a safe career, I think, in my opinion. And then about 6 months or so into me starting my own business, Katie had the idea for Inner Glow Circle, and she was like, I want you to help me write the curriculum. Like my degree is in, instructional design and curriculum development and education. And so that's kind of how, that was back in 2015, and we've been doing it ever since. And now we offer ICF accredited coach training and other like digital courses for women entrepreneurs. We're a company for women by women. All of our employees it's all women run. All of our classes are women, and it's a really connected community. We graduate, hundreds of new coaches and certified entrepreneurs in different skill sets each year, and it's fun.
Fantastic. And so for in the Glow Circle, I know that it has been a big deal for you all in terms of impacting, lives and such. So in terms of the training itself, and how do you support through your program? So is this for anyone who's interested in starting businesses, or is this for people who just want to be certified as coaches?
Sure. So we do have a multitude of different courses just for, female entrepreneurs, typically service-based businesses, online businesses. So we have courses on, sales, marketing, how to host workshops or women's circles, different mindset courses and things like that. And then we also have like our main live course is a coaching certification. So you can get a professional coaching certification. And Katie and I have always believed that, becoming a certified coach is a really fast track to entrepreneurship for women. And so we've trained coaches, they've learned to make money, for themselves, with no income ceiling. And what we often see is that they also branch out and start taking on other entrepreneurial ventures, like getting into real estate. We have a student who, is coaching and also developed a fashion line. So we really find like when women want to start a business, coaching is such a good way to get into it and start to learn to make money on your own, and also gives you the skill set, not just to support other people, but to get so much insight into your own life and what you want, and then be able to really branch out and, create an impact in their community or create other streams of income and other businesses.
Great. Oh my gosh, that's so great. Okay, so we've got to ask this question, and then we do dive into it very deeply with most of our speakers. What is the biggest challenge? It could be managing being a mom with running the business, or what's the biggest challenge that you ever have to overcome with creating in a Glow Circle and for where it is to be today?
Sure. I think that the biggest challenge overall is remembering the vision and staying focused on that. I think that sometimes, whether it's parenting or business development, we get so caught up in like what we're doing day to day that we can lose the joy of it sometimes. And like without remembering what you're actually building, whether it's like a fully functioning human that you hope to have after 18 or 20 years, or maybe more, whatever, or if it's this vision for a huge organization or company that you're creating. I was talking to Virginia actually in the waiting room before getting out here, and she was telling me her vision, and I was like, that's what you have to stay with, right? Like whenever you feel like you're just in the monotony of like parenting or work or checking emails or like all the things that you maybe don't like in the process, I think going back to the vision and remembering it is like, that's what keeps you going. So I think the challenge is remembering to stay focused on the big picture and not losing sight of that, because you're often, we're never always doing everything we want to be doing in life or business.
Yes, yes. And I think we are finding a theme here
I
because
was
you're
just gonna
literally,
say,
we literally ask the same question different ways, but by far from different walks of life and from
Yeah.
different businesses. All of you have said almost the same thing, which is
Oh, really?
being connected, right? It's so interesting. It's really being connected to your intention, your why, and your vision.
Yeah.
And it's so true because I know for myself, I definitely could speak to only getting caught up with every single little detail in my business or everything about parenting, but I get lost, from the big vision of why am I even doing my business? Why did I want to start a family in the first place?
Yeah.
And that's a really great reminder, and so that we, at least I don't just operate on default and autopilot.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm just really delighted to learn more about that. So where is in a glow circle, or where does Olivia want to go in the next, talking about big vision, right? Like,
Yeah.
where do you see yourself in the glow circle in the next, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, or ultimately, like, what is the biggest vision for you all?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that because Katie and I have been, doing these weekly meetings lately
Yeah.
talking about, because, the last couple of years, a lot of the things that we had put in place, or the last year and a half, couldn't happen, right? And so we had to pivot just like everyone else. And now things are starting to kind of go back to somewhat of a normalcy, I think, in a lot of places. And so we're like, okay, knowing what we know now, like, what do we want to create? And, we've always seen IGC as like the place for women who want to find their purpose, live it, and get paid. And that's also where the coaching thing comes in, right? So a lot of women are like, I don't know what I want to do, but I have these skills, right? Like, coaching is a great way to package them and be able to live on your own terms, right? And I think part of the vision is we want to get back to hosting events and having retreats and being able to reach more people in different capacities and really be and become, an alternative to grad school or even college. For some people, we have a lot of students who are choosing this path of entrepreneurship and online business over going to college, and to each their own. But I think that this is what we've learned in the last year is no government job or working for anyone else is any more guaranteed than working for yourself. And I like to bet on myself. I feel like it would be riskier for me to take a job with someone else at this point because you just don't know, right? And I think a lot of people learned that in the last year. And I think when we can teach people to become empowered and find what it is that they love, that's what makes your business sustainable, right? If you actually love what you're doing most of the time, then that's what keeps the business growing, right? So
Yes. 100%. Yes, that was me, Olivia. I had to make a decision actually, whether I want to go back to graduate school. And this is when I wanted to I was really, and I'm still am, in health and wellness and really living that optimal lifestyle. And I literally did like an analysis of, okay, how much money do I need if I went to be a naturopath, how many years and things like that. And then I turned around and said, no, that is not the way that is not my way of living my life, knowing that that's going to be my future for the next 10 years. And I chose entrepreneurship over graduate school.
Yeah. And I have that conversation with like prospective students all the time. And like everyone, I kind of have a feeling that if people are getting on the phone with me about becoming a coach, it's because they want to do it. Right. Like, but I do, and everyone, has to kind of investigate before they decide on their own path. But I think that it's really the world is shifting in a way where people are realizing they have more choice and they don't have to just do what their parents did, or just because everyone's going, to get higher level degrees, they have to. And I'm not knocking higher education at all, well, except the student loan system. But I think that we have to teach women that there's other options and there's other more affordable options. So that's exciting too.
With quicker turnarounds, because honestly, I would have to spend over $150,000 for my 6 years of school. Then I have to work entry level, salary for about 5 years before I can build my, reputation and all of that. Whereas honestly, I have embarked on entrepreneurship, of course, prior to that, but with my virtual business now, it's only been 5 years.
Mhm.
And I'm already like surpassed anything that I could have done if I had gone back to school. And again, 100% with you, I am not knocking, higher education. And for those that are choosing to be, scholarly, no, 100%.
Yeah.
Everyone has his or her own path. But for what we do, I think what I love so much for those that are really into self-development and really are open to taking their lives to that next level, entrepreneurship or a accredited coaching certification program is the next level, or that ticket, right? Like we think the college degree or graduation, boom, graduate program is the ticket, but no, that is the ticket to freedom.
Totally. And you get to set your own schedule and all that, so you can't really beat it.
Yes, I mean, we get to really live our lifestyle, right? Like on our own terms.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that really got me to really thinking in terms of, so with you have the lifestyle, right? You really created that. You can balance having your kids and things like that. So let's talk about like the impact, right? Like we always feel about this with our business. So what kinds of impact are you able to really see from your clients? And it's really obvious, but I just want to get people to understand that sometimes when we do what we do day to day, we forget, at least for me, right? Even with this, putting this show together, and I can be sitting here like having to deal with some tech issues, and I'm like, what, like, what's the point? And I don't see the impact, right? Like that I'm really getting to make. How do you stay connected to the difference that you get to make in the world? And without getting lost on just pushing for that next level and like meeting the revenue goal. You know what I mean? Like that sometimes is a challenge or a question or a conversation I have to have with some of my clients too, because they're like, I feel like I'm driving because I want to make that much more money. And that is not the thing that is driving me. So I would love to hear it from you, because I know your company is making great impact and you guys are, I'm sure, are definitely profitable and such. But how do you find that balance and sweet spot so that way you don't get lost on making that next goal because of the money?
Yeah, really great question. And something that we have had to actually put structure around, quite frankly. Like we grew really quickly as a company. In the last 5 or so years. It's just been like doubling almost every year, and it's been beautiful and it's amazing, and we've been able to hire so many women, and I think that's what I see most is like we've been able to like pay full salaries to so many women and moms, and like and it's really awesome. But I will say that there got to be a point in 2019 actually where I hadn't taught a class in a while because we have all these trainers now, and I remember saying like I don't know what's going on like with our students. And so what we've done now is like we collect like student wins every week in all of our classes, and then they're tracked and reported to Katie and I so that we can kind of stay more in touch. And some of those wins are of course getting hired and leaving their jobs, and others are getting pregnant or having a hard conversation with their partner, or actually just making a decision in their life. Like that's the thing about coaching. It's like there's so much. Yes, you'll get certified and you'll know how to run a business after the training, but you're also going to become, just a higher version of yourself, right? A lot of that is uncovered. And so we've made it like a requirement basically to check in with what's going on with our students and see the impact that is being had in our classes. And, this past 6 months, Katie and I have also started going back and teaching the classes. So we each teach a few classes now. And it's so funny. I always get nervous actually, like before teaching, which is so weird because like I was a teacher and I was the original trainer for IGC. And then I go back into like the classroom, and it's like, it literally will fuel me for weeks. Like the energy that I get from being actually in with our students, like I couldn't not do it to keep. I think that's like part of the vision. It's like, oh, this is what we wanted to be doing. Like we wanted to be changing lives that change other lives. And we wanted to be able to create this domino effect of women actually doing what they want and making the money that they want, and actually feeling like their purpose was being fulfilled. And like now it's like medicine. Like I have to witness it to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
I used to be a quick story. I used to be a yoga instructor, and then I stepped away from teaching just the actual classes to train the trainers.
Mhm.
And for the longest time, I forget what it's like just to be teaching a class just to beginners and being able to get in their mindset and allowing them the cues to that way they can get their bodies in certain positions. And teaching in different environments really got me to really think about how I think as a leader and how I operate as a person. And
Yeah.
it's so much that I get to learn about myself. And just like you, I get so much energy from that. And like there's such a level of gratification that nothing else gets me feeling fired up like that.
Exactly. Exactly. Like I love a good email open rate, but that does not
Yeah, that is
compare.
exactly. It's like that adrenaline, like that. It's not the same. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like jumping off an airplane versus
Yeah.
like, getting a good glass of wine. I know what.
Yes. Yes. It's Friday too. Yay.
Yeah, exactly. So if you seems like you're working with many women and of course moms and entrepreneurs, what is your biggest advice or what is your last piece of advice, if something that you could share that would make the biggest difference for your students? What would you share?
Sure. I think it kind of is similar to the whole challenge and vision thing. And I think that one of the things that one of the pieces of advice that I would give is I hear this from women all the time. Like, we want to have it all, right? We want to have the business, we want to have the family, we want to have the freedom to travel and express ourselves and all of that. And I think that the greatest piece of advice that I would give is to actually define what it all is for you. Because I think that we get so caught up in what everyone else is doing and social media and how like an ideal life looks for these different people. And I think it often leads us off our own track. And so one of the things that I've constantly had to check in with myself, like journal after journal, and I'm saying this to you, is really, really asking yourself, like, what does having it all look like for you? And then making sure that the steps that you're taking are bringing you to that, or are honoring that over and over again. Because I think for some people, they were like, I have to make, 6 figures, or I have to have the 10K month or whatever. And it's like, maybe you need to work 20 hours a week and make $5,000 a month. And, you know, I don't know. It could look a million different ways. And I think figuring out what having it all looks like for each individual and actually not getting distracted by everyone else's goals or that's my advice.
Yes, no, 100%. I agree because yeah, again, this is the way to really balance because everyone's definition of success is so different. And
Yeah.
like, quote unquote having it all looks differently for everybody. Like, right, we want kids, other people don't, things like
Yeah.
that. And it's just really being able to get real with ourselves and really asking ourselves that question is like, okay, and you know what else I would definitely agree with you or add to is that it changes. Don't you
Yeah.
notice that it changes?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
it
yeah.
depends on like the seasons of your life, right? Like I remember way back when before I had kids, I like my desires or my dreams were completely different. And now
Yeah.
I have kids is different. And now,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. And as they grow up, things will keep changing. And I think that's the whole thing. It's like you have to always be checking in with yourself, or that's when you start to feel like lost and confused and like, why am I here? And having like an existential crisis. Like, I quit my job to do this and I don't even know why I'm doing this. And it's like, you have to take that time. I don't even think it takes that long. It takes like 20 minutes, a week, maybe, to really say, like, these are the things that I know I want. And here's how a few things that I'm doing to get there. And I mean, like, it's not always about the end goal. Like, we have to enjoy the journey. And I think it's so cliche, but it's also so true. Like, these are the parts that like you wanted a couple of years ago.
Exactly. Fantastic. So last but not least, I want to learn from you, selfishly asking, and I know most of you guys are listening who are moms. I know I already met some of you. What is your best parenting advice?
Okay, I like wrote an email to my list and I was like, it's so funny. I don't even feel like I know that much about parenting, but I know a few things. So I mean, my best parenting advice is to really like and maybe this comes from not having this experience as a child, but really like honoring who my children are as individuals and like listening to them and like being willing to learn from them. I think that when I kind of stopped, like I threw out the old school, like, you know, kids must act a certain way and all of that. And I was able to actually really learn who my children were and honor, you know, them as individuals. My whole life as a parent got easier. And I was able to really, you know, connect with them. And I think, I don't know how you do it all the time. I really just think it's listening to them and allowing them to be, you know, fully expressed, because at the same time, that's what we're all looking to do here, right?
Please come to the main office. Thank you.
Sorry, if you are listening in the audience, will you mute yourself? Thank you. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, so yes, I think that I actually was really taking it in as you were speaking that, because ultimately, you know, one of my, of course, my 10th month old, I can already see his personality, but he's not talking yet. And he's not, you know, responding in a way like my toddler is. And I think that's a great piece of advice, because I forget, you know, that she actually has really great ideas.
Yeah, they're like geniuses.
Yeah, and she's so persistent that it's fascinating to me, you know, sometimes where, you know, anyway, so I forget that. So no, that is a great reminder. And I know all of you moms are listening out there, you know, that's a good piece of advice, because I'm guilty of it. So that's probably for most, because you know, we're so focused on getting things done or wanting things a certain way for them that we forget that perhaps they may want to choose to do things differently.
Yeah, and it's not always something that we can allow, right? But I think that even like I notice a difference that my kids are like feel comfortable expressing, you know, what their desires are, what they aren't, and I think that it just creates a more peaceful home in the long run. So
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Yes, and I am so appreciative of you making the time to be with us.
yeah, thank you.
You know, I love what you do. I love that you are a fellow mom as well, and shaker and mover and doing what you need to do and transforming the world. I'm so honored and delighted to be crossing paths with you, and definitely stay in contact with you. So anything else, last parting remarks that you would like to share with the audience?
No, just gratitude, and thank you all for being here. And I know I did see one question, what is inner glow circle, but somebody got it for me, so thank you. But I mean, I think, like I said, if you're here for a reason, and you can't, you know, dim the voice. Like you have to follow that and keep going. And, you know, one of the things when I was talking to LY a couple weeks ago, like just because things don't seem to be moving fast enough doesn't mean they're not moving forward, you know? And so wherever you all are in your journey, parenting or business, things are happening, you know, just making these intentional moves to be here and to take all this information in, that's moving you forward. So
yes, 100%. Thank you so much again, Olivia.
Thank you.
Tell Katie I said hello. And
I will. She was texting me just before this, like, I can't believe you're doing it without me. I'm like, go have a baby and then you can get on this one.
Oh, is she pregnant?
No, but she was like, I didn't get to come. I was like, this is a mom one. I got this.
Okay.
I said, go after you have a baby, you can come on this one with me.
Exactly. So see, she can't be mad at me because
right. No.
the requirement is being a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dee, and thank you, everyone. I will.
Thank you, and have a fantastic weekend. Cheers.
Cheers. Yes, we'll virtual cheers later. All right. Bye, everyone.
Okay. Bye, Olivia.